Forget about
All right, hello and welcome to the Bluffton Pirates Coaches Show here live on Facebook, X, and YouTube. I'm Sam Sprunger, joined by my buddy here, JW Shannon. JW, how are we this beautiful evening?
We are just wonderful. That's how we are.
We are?
Yeah.
All right, I'll trust you on that one. As you can see, we're in person, or we're with one another today. Had some other things to do, so I thought, well, why not, JW? Let's get back. Get the band back together, so to speak.
Hang out on the patio.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the Bluffton Pirates. They traveled to Toledo last week to Bowsher High School, and it was a pretty good domination game from the Pirates offensively. Maybe not so much as defensively, but bend don't break style of success.
Yeah, we had some questionable defense at times, but the boys came together and did a nice job of getting that under control.
Yeah, we look at and a lot of this had to do with the fact that we were able to score quickly within a couple of plays of starting the drive or things like that. But Bowsher ended up running 20 more plays than we did, but yet lost by almost 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, that was they extended a few drives pretty nicely, but then they just couldn't cash in when it was important.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, it was you look at the passing. The Pirates had 305 yards. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. But then 95 for Bowsher, only 72 yards for the Pirates on the rushing side, and 167 for Bowsher. So still, again, those really high numbers from the opponent rushing.
Yeah, and we didn't have our main running back this week, and due to injury. So it makes it tough when you have to throw somebody in there.
Yeah.
When you've got a running back like Parker Lovell, you don't just replace him. I mean,
well,
so I think we overall we did pretty good.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not at all saying that was a letdown. It's just that's we're not used to that low of an output,
right?
And you like you said, when you're out your main running back. It makes it kind of difficult to maintain things. Let's talk about Tate Gieske a little bit when it comes to the passing game. We were talking 305 yards passing, 6 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But the most impressive stat for me was he was 15 of 15.
Yeah, I didn't realize it at the time that we were doing so well on our completions, but that's pretty outstanding. High school.
Honestly, I don't remember many games that I've seen a quarterback go perfect, unless it was a team that throws the ball twice in a game and they, both are screens.
Right. Yeah, but that was not the case with these.
No. Tate went on the run a lot. He put, scrambling and throwing on the run. Those are not easy.
No, not at all.
Passes to complete, but yet he was putting them with, be it our receivers wide open, or be it he throws it on a dime.
Yeah,
it worked out pretty well for Tate when it comes to that. Only 9 yards rushing, so really he wasn't a rushing factor.
No, he wasn't. Well, and let's be honest, we didn't really need him to be.
No,
because our passing game was going so well that So we're saving that for when we really need it.
We look at the receiving. Blaine Hill leads the way for the Pirates. 5 receptions, 179 yards, 2 touchdowns, 80 yards on one of them. And then on defense, 2 tackles, 2 assists. So, I mean, he was our Riley Creek Sportswear Player of the Game last week.
He was all over the place.
I think it was well deserved too.
Yeah,
I think he definitely put forth an effort that was worthy of being called the player of the game.
Yeah, for sure.
And don't get me wrong, there were 2 or 3 others that could have been in strong consideration
Yeah.
for it as well. But we just felt that Blaine did it on both sides of the ball, made it happen.
Yeah, and he
And,
made his presence felt early
Yes.
too. I mean, he came up with some big plays early on in the game that pretty much broke Toledo's back, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, and there were a couple of points in that game where you could just feel that this was, and it was early. I
Yeah.
mean, that you just felt Bluffton, we're going to win this,
Yeah.
and it might be a struggle at points, which not that we struggled in the point differential, like we were
Right,
always
yeah.
at least 3 touchdowns ahead
Sure.
after we got 3 touchdowns ahead. But just, some points where, okay, maybe we should have stopped them on that, or maybe we should have extended a drive or
Yeah.
whatever. Although we
Yeah.
did not punt,
Right.
not once.
That's pretty good in a high school game.
Yeah, not bad at all. Only 4 penalties. I'm sure Coach Richards would say that was 4 too many, but
Absolutely, yeah.
4 penalties for 33 yards, and they forced 4 turnovers
Yeah.
on Bowsher. I understand what Coach was saying when it came to Bowsher is there's a lot of athleticism, there's a lot of speed, there's a lot of players that could be or that are very athletic and talented. They just weren't clicking.
Right. Yeah. And, I mean, it's tough with a big school like that, especially like an inner city school where, I'm sure the coaches and everybody are doing the best they can, but with some limited stuff.
Right.
I'm sure they could use a little more equipment and that kind of thing too.
Yep.
So yeah, overall, I thought they did well against us for the type of offense that we have.
Well, and Kane, I was just looking at this. Kane Wright had 2 more touchdowns. He's having a heck of a season to start after 3 games. His career and his senior year is starting very, very well this year, to where he's going to be potentially target A for a lot of defenses to shut down.
I would think so. Yeah, I mean, he's been our big play guy so far. I mean, there's not that there hasn't been big plays by other guys, but yeah, so far the first 3 games he has been on fire.
Then you have Leighton Miller with a 91-yard kickoff return, and literally, maybe 5 minutes after we said, one name we haven't mentioned yet is Leighton Miller, and he caught a pass, and then he scored a touchdown.
Yeah,
so
that was you can't count any of these guys out because you never know which one's gonna shine on that particular series.
Right. Well, and then you had Ethan Springer with 2 touchdowns as well.
Absolutely.
So he kicked it off with the 18-yard pass to start out with, and then the first touchdown for the Pirates in the second half. He was a 6-yard pass from Tate Gieske to him. So he's starting to show a little bit of not value, but a little more presence, I guess would be a better way to say it.
Yeah, I think it just comes with experience.
Sure.
And the more time they get on the field, the better and better and better they're going to get.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and he was in the rotation, but he wasn't the starter because Javen had been hurt.
Right.
Hurt. And so now that he's been thrust into the starting lineup, now he's getting a chance to show a little bit. Yeah. And then when Javen comes back, that's one heck of a rotation guy to have in, a guy that gets some experience the way Ethan's been getting in here.
Yeah, he's really risen to the occasion, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's from this game on your mind. From this game, what was your biggest, I won't say concern, but a biggest takeaway, not necessarily of, hey, we really dominated that, but hey, we need to clean that up a little bit.
Our defense, I mean, we've been a little lacking on the outside edges the last couple games, I think, and we've talked about that. The other teams must be picking something up to where they seem that they can run something more outside than on the inside of us. And it seems like they've done pretty well with that so far. Now, I'm sure that that's going to get cleaned up real quickly because
it's definitely going to be worked on, right? I mean, it's definitely being worked on.
Yeah,
that was my biggest takeaway is we're still feeling it out, and again, we're not full strength.
Not at all.
We don't have Evan Grotehouse. We don't have Javen Crawfus. We don't have Parker Lovell at this point. So 3 of our 11 starters on defense are not playing right now.
Right.
So you take that into consideration at the same time, but still, it's something you don't want to see continue being 160 yards and things like that, and attacking the edges like the teams had been doing. But I agree that's probably my bigger takeaway from the whole entire game. I think we executed our offense pretty well. There weren't very many times that our running backs were getting hit and taken down in the backfield. Now, at the line of scrimmage and shortly after, we didn't have a hugely successful running game, but at the same time, we weren't being caught behind the line. So our line wasn't being necessarily blown up as much as I thought could happen.
No, I don't think they were. I mean, they had pretty good protection and so forth. And there again, you've got some new guys in there. You've got some that, and they just need to gel together a little bit.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead. We're going to step away, take a quick break. We'll come back with Coach Richards and talk about the game in Toledo last week. And I apologize. I'm going to apologize right now. I don't know if it's cold or if it's allergies, but I'm a little sniffly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Do you forgive me?
I do.
I'll ask Coach Richards if he forgives me too when I get on there.
I'll go get a mask at the break.
All right. We'll go ahead. We'll step away, take a break. We'll be back. You are watching the Bluffton Pirates Coaches Show on Facebook, on X, and on YouTube.
Blanchard Valley Health System isn't just a hospital. We are an integrated health system providing comprehensive care in Northwest Ohio. For more information, please visit bvhealthsystem.org. Blanchard Valley Health System. We're here for you.
Fat Jack's Pizza in Lima, Ohio has 3 locations on West Street, Finley Road, and Spencerville Road to serve you. Family owned and operated, Fat Jack's offers great food options. Go to fatjackspizza.com for menus and more information.
Kira's Flipside Grill on Main Street in Bluffton offers a made-in menu, live weekly music, craft beer and cocktails, plus kids' meals too. Kira's Flipside Grill. Exceptional food, hip atmosphere, unique dining experience.
With 27 years of experience and attention to detail, Angels Flooring provides many flooring services. Call 419-302-7151 for more information. Angels Flooring, serving Bluffton and surrounding areas since 2009.
Grove Systems in Bluffton is hiring for its 2026 apprenticeship class, where you attend road states for 2 days and train at Grove for 3 days during the week. Program covers tuition and pays you for 40 hours. Go to joingrove.com/apprentice for more information.
Hey neighbor, you're listening to Bluffton Pirates football on the Lounge Sports Network. Later, Gator. See you at church.
All right, welcome back to the Bluffton Pirates Coaches Show here on Facebook, YouTube, and X. We are joined by the Pirates head coach, Jeff Richards. Jeff, thanks for coming in and chatting with us yet again this week. Oh, hold on. I muted you. So, okay, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry about that.
Maybe,
yeah. So let's talk. It wasn't a long trip, but it's a longer trip to start the year off. But we did that with Ben Logan last year. But a big game this week, this last week, going to Toledo and taking on a team at a much bigger school than what we see with Bluffton and normally the schools around us. How do you feel the boys performed?
We were happy with how we came out with a longer drive, unfamiliar location, team that we've never played, no common opponents, things like that.
Right.
There's a lot of variables there that you're playing with. Our guys did a great job. I told them to relax on the bus ride up, and as soon as we stepped off the bus, it was business, and they did a great job. First half, we jumped on them early. We were able to make some corrections with some stuff we weren't doing right, but for all things considered, you go a Division VI school, bump it up, playing a Division II school that you don't really know anything about, and having success. It's always good. We weren't thrilled with how we played and how we executed in a lot of areas, but we still played well enough to win by a running clock again. So all in all, it was a successful week.
You look at Tate Gieske, and he was a perfect 15 of 15. How many times have you had in your career a perfect pass, a completion percentage from a quarterback that passed it more than 3 or 4 times in the game?
Well, I'll say this. He had an incompletion, but it was a pass interference penalty,
right.
So he lucked out on that one. But, I think the only other time I had a perfect passer rating was 2017 in a rain game. We had passed it 0 times, so we didn't have any incompletions. But, no, he was very efficient. I think it was a mix of one. He was really accurate with his throwing, and then on some of the ones, the receivers made great plays. Yeah. So, I think, across the board, he keeps maturing with the offense. We're really good at hitting big plays, and it's not always just a bomb. Sometimes it's our guys catching the ball in space and then moving. But then part of it, I harp on time of possession. We only ran 6 plays of offense in the second half. So, a lot of that was first half stuff and then a couple of plays. But, I think with what he's able to do, and he's being, a true quarterback, we're not trying to run him 20 times. We want him to be a quarterback and throw the ball. He's doing a great job with that. I think he's sitting at, 931 yards through 3 games. Wow. And has 16 touchdown passes. So he's been pretty efficient the first 3, that's for sure.
You ain't joking. You are not joking. So let's look at his 6 touchdowns. He threw to 3 different receivers. 3 receivers had 2 touchdowns on Friday night. We talked about, Blaine Hill. He ended up being the player of the Riley Creek Sportswear player of the game. But then you have Kane, who's still doing it. Then you had Ethan Sprunger, who caught a couple of passes as well. How big is that? And we've talked about this in the past. He's filling in. I mean, even though he rotates in, he's kind of filling in that starter role with Javen Crawfus being out. How big is that for him down the line?
Oh, it's huge. And really, I like to look at it as, complementary football is one day you're the man, the next day you're getting double covered and you're letting somebody else take the fame. Right. Kane's drawn a lot of eyes early with what he's done. And he's got 300 yards in 3 games. That's great. But, Leighton and Blaine, Blaine, every Saturday morning, I go through stats with the guys, and it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing because we really don't care about stats, but we know the kids do. So we go over it, and I told Blaine he had good news and bad news. And the good news was he had, 179 yards receiving and those touchdowns. I said the bad news was he was 6 yards short of the school record for receiving yards in a game. But,
that was the dark cloud of the whole day.
Yeah. But, the fun part with it and the great part with it is he's going to get other opportunities. He's got more games to play. Yeah. So, but, Ethan, doing his job. Both of his touchdowns weren't anything, outside of what he wasn't having to be more than anything other than just being a consistent receiver and being where he needed to be. And Tate found him both times. Yeah. With him, he works hard to be that kind of that other receiver in there that, we got guys that are really, really fast and draw a lot of eyes. And when they're drawing a lot of eyes, it gets these other guys open. Keaton had a big catch against Pandora on a play. Dylan Cherry had 2 catches Friday coming out as a tight end. So we're trying to distribute the ball. It's not good when only one guy's getting all the catches because then they can, try to shut him down. When you've got 4 guys that all have touchdowns, that all have yards, you've got to account for everybody. And that makes it a bigger problem for defenses for sure.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying when we talk all year long so far, that we have so many weapons on the offensive side of the ball. You can't possibly prepare for all of them. You're going to have to pick which couple you're going to really go after and then hope the other ones don't hurt you too bad.
Yeah. I hope it hurts.
So there, you talked about not being happy in some of the areas. Defensively, what are we concerned still about the outside perimeter on the rushing attack?
I think it's a lot of things. Reality with it, with Bowsher, I mean, it was a shutout at halftime. We were up 35-0.
Yeah.
And then gave up a really long kickoff return to where they were able to score quick on that one. And we started phasing some guys out in the second half, which complicates things because whenever you're phasing guys out and the other team isn't, you're getting a level of a performance that drops a little bit. And we weren't happy at all with how, the final score was. I mean, other than we won and it was running clock and that's all well and good. But for us, we want to keep our standard at a high level. And our depth in some areas isn't where we would like it to be. So we're trying to kind of move some guys around, change some responsibilities on some things, and see who really gives us, our best options at some spots. But that being said, I was pleased with some of our young guys that are starting to get more reps. They were making mistakes. But I think part of that is if you get a good lead and you start putting some guys that down the road are going to be, important role players, you put them in positions and they're making mistakes and it hurts you on the scoreboard. It hurts you in some yardage, but then you can show it to them on the film the next morning and say, this is where you messed up. This is what it has to be. So there's growth there. I'm pleased with that. We've got some guys that are going to be really, really good football players that they're not quite ready for prime time yet, but they're still developing. We got a small class of seniors, and we're playing a whole lot of underclassmen that are getting key experience. So, defensively, no, we're not happy with where we're at. We think we're giving up too much yardage, of course, but we also see it as, it's a process, and we're building for, the next week we want to be a little bit better than we were the week before. And we thought, other than some crazy plays and some late runs against stuff, we were looking a lot better in some areas. We thought defensively our physicality was better. Our tackling overall was better, especially in the first half when all our ones were in there. But, there was a few where it was just, mental mistakes and things like that, defensively you can play a great game for 47 minutes, but if you mess up one or two times and you give up a couple big plays, it hurts you on the scoreboard really quick. And we've got some guys that are learning and they're getting some growing pains there, but it's all part of the process, I think.
Live game teachable moments, it sounds like.
There you go. Any good news at all on the injury report?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, our guy, we in reality, with Parker, he could have played Friday physically, but I would rather him be 100% and him be ready to go. We felt with kind of who we had and where we were at with it, it was better to give him more time to recover last week. Our other guys, they're looking better every single day. Our trainer, Chris, does an amazing job with guys, making sure they're rehabbing, and also guys that, they're playing on Fridays, but they get little bumps, bruises here. We've got guys that this whole era of these kids that understand about like taking care of your body between games. It's so different now than it used to be. Like we've got guys that are actively doing ice baths and they're doing foam rolling and they're doing all this stuff. And it used to be you had icy hot and Tylenol and then you went from there. But, our guys do a good job of really trying to take care of their bodies so that, and I think last year, our long runs in the playoffs have shown like it's a long season. Everybody's banged up by the time you get to week 14 or 15.
Yeah,
and whoever has the most guys that are healthy and strong, you're typically going to have your success.
Yeah.
My mode of rehydration after football practices was going to the store, buying a 2-liter of Fago Red Pop, and that was my drink for the evening. I mean, come on. We've gone a long ways, haven't we? Okay, so I guess for the most part, I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head on everything that I wanted to chat about. I mean, other than maybe I guess the last thing I'll ask, and it's not even that big of a deal, and it hasn't been yet anyways, on the kicking front, when it comes to extra points and things like that, at some point, those are going to matter. And are you stressing that to the guys, even though you're telling them, look, take your time, get used to this, get into the groove, but we've got to make these count.
Yeah, we feel right now, knocking on wood here, we made some changes with some stuff we were doing, and I think we should be a little bit more consistent with what we're doing. I think a big obstacle you have with extra points is the snap, the hold, the kick. Everything has to be in line. And, we had some issues. It wasn't always the kick. Sometimes the hold wasn't getting on the block. And then also, making sure stuff was consistent. So we've put a huge emphasis on that and getting it taken care of. But then also, with kickoff, we pride ourselves on our kickoff team, and giving up a big kickoff return at the start of the second half, we were furious. And, we made a big emphasis on fixing that. And I think we have. Now, the crazy thing is Ethan Blount, when he decided he was going to kick, I said, you might have to make a tackle here or there, but, most of the time just kick it deep and we'll be good. He's had 2 tackles so far this season, and he recovered a fumble Friday.
Right. He recovered a fumble.
Yeah. He was on cloud 9 after recovering that fumble. So, he's getting full. Now, I would have rather, he just kicks it in the end zone every time, but a takeaway is always good. So, the kicking game was something. Yeah. The kicking game, something we're constantly working on and improving. Punt, we work on that more than anything else, because I think punt's one of the biggest plays that can sway a game, and we didn't have to punt Friday. We were I think we only had 3 third downs the entire game. So, we were efficient on offense. We'd like to have been more dominant in the run game than what we were. And we had some issues, and some of it was what Bowsher was doing. They were kind of doing some things that was causing some problems, but we looked at it and we thought we should have been able to run the ball a little better than we did, but they ran 20 more plays than we did. And a lot of times we have a 2 or 3 play drive and a touchdown. So it's really hard to get a consistent run game going if you only really are running it once or twice every possession. Cause I think we only had 8 or 9 total carries on rushing. And, so, and the grand scheme of things, I'm a run guy at heart. It almost feels dirty throwing for 300 plus every single week, but
13 total rush attempts.
Points are points for me. If we're scoring through the air or through the run, and part of our our pass game is if we're throwing short stuff on the perimeter, that's an extension of the run game.
Right. And we've talked about that a couple of times too, that those swing passes just out into the flats, that's essentially a run. Yeah.
So I was pleased, being 15 to 15, he's not taking a lot of hits, and he's staying in there, and he's comfortable. And if he does need to break the pocket, he's got composure and poise doing that, which is great. And he's good at keeping his eyes downfield, and the receivers are good at, finding those spaces, sitting down, getting open. And it's a constant development. And every time you have an injury or you have somebody that's new in there, it makes it, a little bit different, and guys have to work on communication and things like that. So, I thought it was a good game for us to have some growing pains and be able to push through that. Nowhere near where we want to be yet, but it was only week 3, so we've got time.
Right. Well, the Pirates improved to 3-0 with the 54-21 victory over Bowsher. This week, JW, we start our conference play. We're going to step away, take a quick break, and come back and talk to Coach about the Delphos-Jefferson Wildcats. You are watching the Bluffton Pirate Coaches Show on Facebook, YouTube, and X.
Axe Ventura is open every Thursday through Sunday with locations in Findlay and Bellefonte. Walk-ins are welcome, but reservations are recommended. Visit axeventura.com to book today. Axe Ventura, family-friendly fun focusing on the Axe experience.
Lounge Media Group is a multimedia company that provides internet, radio broadcast, radio, and podcast services. Go to loungemediagroup.us for more information. Lounge Media Group, big city quality with a hometown price.
This Time Out is sponsored by Sumi Rico, Ohio.
At SRK, we believe in teamwork, growth, and community pride. We're hiring for multiple positions, and now's your chance to be a part of a winning team. We're proud to call Bluffton home and honored to create opportunities for the people who make this community strong. Go Pirates!
Kira's Flipside Grill on Main Street in Bluffton offers a made-in menu, live weekly music, craft beer and cocktails, plus kids' meals too. Kira's Flipside Grill. Exceptional food, hip atmosphere, unique dining experience.
All right, we're back here to the Bluffton Pirate Coaches Show here on Facebook, YouTube, and X. Sam Sprunger, J.W. Shannon. We're joined by, I've got the wrong thing on there. We don't play Bowsher this week. Sorry about that. Coach Jeff Richards. Coach, we're entering conference play this week, and not that they take a special, they're not more important necessarily, but can you kind of talk about the preparation a little bit, how it may be a little bit more different when it comes to taking care of conference opponents?
Yeah, so we always view our non-conference schedule as important, one, for getting the season started off on the right foot. Also, computer points for playoffs, things like that, it always impacts, definitely. But the conference schedule, the reality of it is the first trophy you get to play for is a conference championship. So that's something that's important. And also, a lot of teams in our conference are in our region for the playoffs. A lot of teams in our conference, we match up well. There's rivalries in there. There's historic rivalries with stuff. It's just that, having a conference is important because everybody's playing everybody. So you can say, hey, we played this team this week. Well, they played that team a week ago and we played them week 4. So now we can look at that film and go back. So the competition with the conference is huge. And then also for film, our conference, we share every single game. So by the time we get right now, we have every game Delphos has played. They have every game we've played. And it goes throughout the season. So when we hit week 10, both Grove and Bluffton, we have all 9 games that both teams have. And you can't be more prepared than what NWC teams are for each other. And we set it up that way so it's perfectly transparent. Everybody's got everybody's film. For me personally, growing up, at Bluffton, the NWC's been, a very competitive conference since the time I was a kid. And, I was raised, one of the biggest rivals when I was growing up. My dad never stopped talking about how much he hated Delphos-Jefferson because of a rivalry they had in the 80s. When my dad was the head coach.
I'm here too.
Bluffton went 9-1 and lost to Delphos, and Delphos got to go to the playoffs over Bluffton, and Delphos was state runner-up. I heard that story for 30 years. The reality of it is I think conference play is a little more fun too because everybody knows you.
Well, talk about that Delphos a little bit because they've lost some key players from the past couple of years. Am I correct? Their quarterback is the one. Wasn't he a senior last year? So are they breaking in a new quarterback this year?
Yeah. So they've got some familiar faces back. Their numbers are up this year. I think they're a much better team than they were last year, just based on depth. I think last year their numbers were pretty low, and they were kind of fighting an uphill battle with that. But Coach Pullman's done a great job, I think, recruiting within the school to get kids out that maybe weren't out before. They bring back a running back that I believe he started since he was a freshman, or if not started, he was a kind of a key player as a freshman. And he's a solid running back. I think he's top 5 in the league in rushing yards right now. And he's a good player. And their quarterback, they do a lot of quarterback run stuff, and they also try to throw it a good deal. So, I think what they're doing offensively poses some problems for us. Defensively as well, they're sitting at 1-2 right now, but they've played some good opponents. And, Paulding is who they played last week. We've played Paulding the past 2 years in the playoffs, and Paulding's sitting at 3-0 right now. They're a solid team. They played Evergreen week 1, who I think is 3-0 as well right now. And then they had a win over Parkway, who's a MAC team. So, I mean, that's, right. That's a feather in the cap for the NWC, I guess, beating a MAC school. Now, unfortunately, a few other teams in the conference had to play some really, really good MAC teams. And Crestview didn't fare too well against Marion Local. But we look at Delphos as definitely a game we have to take very seriously because, they're a hungry team. They're a young team, and they're definitely going to give us their very best.
What is something that we're working on this week to without giving away the game plan, obviously, but something that you guys were making it a point to work on to try to get these guys cleaned up a little bit from what we've seen previous weeks?
A lot of it's the same old stuff we're just trying to get better at. A big one is communication, both sides of the ball and stuff, just making sure everybody's on the same page. It's, I think, taken for granted a lot how important it is for everybody to understand what's going on on offense and on defense. If you've got 1 or 2 guys that aren't doing what they're supposed to, it creates holes, and those holes can get exposed. So, we've really emphasized on communication, and consistency is the biggest thing. We show flashes of greatness, but we don't want flashes. We want every single play. We want to try to be perfect. Right. And being perfect's an impossible thing. However, if your goal is to be perfect on every single rep, you're going to be pretty successful, even if you fall short.
Yeah. Well, we've even talked about that during the broadcasts and things. Is there are flashes almost every drive. You see something from either the offense or defense, and I think it's safe to say, JW and Coach, the offense maybe is a little bit ahead of the defense right now on gelling and coming to full potential. I would say, but you can see those flashes.
Oh yeah,
every drive.
What I think too with our offense, we can have a misstep and then a flash, and that flash leads to a really big touchdown.
Yeah. That's true.
And sometimes that covers up mistakes. Now we've had some plays that are spectacular, and we watch them on film and say, yeah, we scored a touchdown, but that isn't as best as we can do. We got to improve on that. And then, defensively, Bowsher, one of their biggest plays on Friday, defensively, our secondary had a receiver bracketed in front of and behind, and all 3 guys went up, and they had a kid just make a really, really good catch. And it's, we watch it on film, and you can't be too critical of your guys because they were in position. It's just it didn't work out. And that's something, but it's also a learning opportunity to say, you were in position and it still didn't work out. So you've got to try to be exactly where you're supposed to be. And also, not everybody was doing. If we would have gotten a little more pressure on the quarterback, he holds on to it maybe half a second longer, it leads to an interception. So, I think offense at times is harder to get everybody on the same page than defense, because with defense, it's a line and play. With offense, it's kind of like dancing where everybody has to kind of be in the right spots. Yeah. But when you have very dynamic athletes in space and you can get them the ball in space, that can hide a lot. So I do think the offense is a little bit ahead just based on we brought back more guys on offense. And a big part of that, I think, is Tate, on offense, being the guy kind of running things at the quarterback position. That gives you a big head start. Defensively, our most experienced defensive back got hurt week 1. So that kind of changed that dynamic to now, Tate's playing safety and he's getting a handful of tackles there too. So he's doing a good job.
He's doing a great job.
And I'm pleased with the growth we're seeing, in our inside linebacker position too. We had, Sawyer had to fill in at some inside linebacker with Parker being out. So, some of that I think is just, making do with the cards we're dealt, but also taking the opportunities to grow. And we've got those inexperienced guys that they're inexperienced weeks 1 through 3. By the time we hit late in the season, hopefully their experience is kind of shining through and they're ready to go.
Yeah, anything?
Not really. I know what the questions are coming up.
No, actually, I did change it a little bit. Surprise.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, we're at that point now to where we're talking about what's gonna be a key to win. I'm just going to ask you for the one key of the 3 that you normally give us. One of those 3 to you is the most important and dynamic to us winning this game Friday.
See, that's tough because I think all 3 are kind of cornerstones of it there. So, I think let me talk myself through it, I guess. So I think line play. Yeah, that everything starts up front, offensively and defensively with that. Turnovers, if we turn the ball over a bunch, we're in trouble. But if we get a lot of takeaways, we're good. I'll say of the 3, I think time of possession is kind of on my lowest there, just based on this year we're not having too many extended drives. They're more fast hits. But what worries me is if our offense can't get on the field. I think that's big. So I would actually say, time of possession for us, our defense has got to get off the field. I think that's big. Offensive and defensive line, it's important no matter what level of football you're talking about. And turnovers are important. But we've won games where we're in the minus in turnovers. At times, it's just a lot harder to win a game when you turn the ball over. But I think if our defense struggles to get off the field and we give up long drives, that bodes not well. So I think for us, getting off the field on defense is big. And then offense, having long drives would be great. I'd love that. I enjoy imposing our will. But also if we have, 80-yard touchdowns, that's kind of cool too.
Yeah, we'll take those too, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I made it a little – I threw you a change-up. So it wasn't necessarily a curveball. I threw you a change-up to where I knew what the 3 would be, but he talked us to which one he thought was the most important. But no, Coach Jeff Richards, I appreciate it greatly for coming on, sharing with us yet again, week in and week out. And let's get to 4-0.
Sounds good.
All right, we will be right back. We're going to step away, take a quick break, and when we come back, JW and I will wrap things up. You are watching the Bluffton Pirates Coaches Show here on Facebook, YouTube, and X.
Blanchard Valley Health System isn't just a hospital. We are an integrated health system providing comprehensive care in Northwest Ohio. For more information, please visit bvhealthsystem.org. Blanchard Valley Health System. We're here for you.
Hey neighbor, how are you? I wanted to tell you about a place where the wifers and I love to go. Hothead Burritos in Wapakoneta, and now Lima brings you amazing food and fast. You can try any of their sauces on a burrito or a bowl. So grab some Hothead Burritos and enjoy the game. Later, Gator. I'll see you in church. Go Pirates!
Kira's Flipside Grill on Main Street in Bluffton offers a made-in menu, live weekly music, craft beer and cocktails, plus kids' meals too. Kira's Flipside Grill. Exceptional food, hip atmosphere, unique dining experience.
Bluffton Auto Repair Center provides friendly, reliable service for all your hometown car needs. Call 419-358-1900. Bluffton Auto Repair Center, across the street from Stratton Auto Group on Main and Jefferson in Bluffton.
Blanchard Valley Health System isn't just a hospital. We are an integrated health system providing comprehensive care in Northwest Ohio. For more information, please visit bvhealthsystem.org. Blanchard Valley Health System. We're here for you.
All right, we're back here on the Bluffton Pirate Coaches Show here on Facebook, YouTube, and X. JW. A lot of information coming from Coach about various things, but this week we kick off the NWC conference, and you talked about a little bit that. Or he talked about rivalries. There are some rivalries that exist in the conference that that have developed over the course of many years and stuff. Talk about why kind of some things. Is it just that one year where you got beat by Jefferson, or is it other things that have built up along with that?
It's typically been a fairly heated rivalry over the years. I just don't think we like each other that much, honestly.
Well, and that's why I was wondering, because I'm 4 years tomorrow.
Yeah,
it'll be 4 years that I moved here, and it's always been, man, we just don't like Jefferson.
Yeah,
we don't like Delphos-Jefferson.
Yeah,
we don't like those guys, and I'm like, why? And
yeah,
I've heard various reasons, but not necessarily from somebody that lived it.
I think we're ingrained with it.
It's from birth.
Yeah.
Well, it's there are a few things that I really am hoping we see this week. We didn't ask exactly, because I'm guessing that he's a game time decision, but Parker, probably a game time decision. Whether he plays, whether he doesn't, that's up in the air. But if he ends up playing, do you think they use him not sparingly, but sub him in and out a little bit more, since he's also playing defense?
Yeah, I would think so. Just Delphos is going to be a tough game. It always is. I mean, it's just, like I said, it's a heated rivalry.
Yeah.
But yet then we, down the road, we've got LCC and some of these other games.
It's going to be a tough game.
And we need to be as healthy as we possibly can be for the second half of the season as well. So I wouldn't imagine they'd get overly carried away with Parker, if he does see some time. But I've also seen the drive this young man has too. So
yeah, but at the same time,
keep him out.
At the same time, you've got to, you don't want to aggravate something and make it worse.
Right, absolutely.
So we're gonna work you in slowly, because then by LCC week, which is 2 weeks, from this week, he'll be maybe full swing, close to 100%, and ready to rock and roll in that game, because with the way they're playing, they're looking darn good. And I hate looking down the road. Right, but when you're talking about injuries, you kind of got to do a little bit of prognostication of what you need to do.
Yeah, see how it's, to see what would be best for the team at this point. You don't want a kid to rush back, re-injure it, and then be done for the year.
Yeah, I'd love to have him back this week, but if it means that he's going to end up hurting himself and be out the rest of the season, take a week, take your time getting back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's and like I said, I'm pretty sure that's they have a new quarterback, so I think the defense getting some pressure on the Wildcat quarterback, which I don't even have their starters yet. I haven't seen that.
We've done pretty well putting some pressure on people in the first 3 games. So and I look for more of the same.
If their quarterback is currently an athletic type, like ours is, where he can tuck and run, that might be one thing that might be not a deter or a minus, but just something else you've got to keep on. Like let's maybe spy with somebody on him, because I believe that worked pretty well against Ben Logan in the second half. Is we started what appeared, we never did actually ask Coach, but it appeared that he or they had a spy on him, and that shut him down.
Right.
So we learned from previous experiences, I guess, to kind of go from there. But what is your key? You can't take Coach. We're staying away from the 3 basic ones. What's your key for Friday night's victory against Delphos-Jefferson?
I think it's our defense. I mean, we need to go out, shut them down right away. We know our offense can score in such quick bursts, but the defense needs to go out there, like Coach said, get off the field, shut them down early, try to put some pressure on them, and maybe fluster them a little bit early on. And I think once that happens, if it does, then I think it makes things just a little easier on us.
Yeah, defense is definitely important.
Yeah.
I still think it's maybe establish. I mean, we can throw for 300 yards.
Right.
Tate Gieske is definitely capable of doing so, but there's going to be some times that we're going to have fall back on that that running game. So I think even if Parker doesn't play, or if he only plays sparingly, I think we need to be effective.
Right.
With those runs.
Oh, I think too. Yeah.
Average 4 or 5 yards, maybe.
Yeah.
3-4 yards, I guess. 3 to 4 yards.
And Jackson really, he didn't do a bad job last.
No, we ran the ball
week.
13 times.
Yeah, 40
total.
yards.
He had 8 rushes for 40 yards, so he averaged 5.
5 yards. I mean, nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
I'll take a running back that gives me 5 yards every
Sure,
run.
absolutely, and that's why I'm saying
Constantly.
is I think we need to consistently be doing that.
Yeah,
even with a few amount of runs, we need to be averaging 3 or 4 yards a game, a run, in order to kind of say, look, we can peel it off for a decent gain or whatever by running the ball. We don't have to throw the ball every down.
Yep, I agree.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, I do believe that brings us to the end of tonight's Bluffton Pirates Coaches Show here on Facebook, YouTube, and X. Friday night at Harmon Field, the Pirates host the Delphos-Jefferson Wildcats. The pregame festivities kick off at 6:05. You and I will have the Grove Systems of Bluffton kickoff show, and then we'll have X's and O's with Coach Richards, brought to you by Jason Cox State Farm Insurance, and then the Kira's Flipside Grill pregame show, following it up till and that brings us to kickoff. And then we've got the play-by-play. NWC season kicks off, and we will we'll have all the action on LMGradio.us, and we'll talk to everybody there.
Right. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us here on the Bluffton Pirates Coaches Show here on Facebook, YouTube, and X. We'll see you Friday night. Go Pirates.